Hi, welcome to episode 2 of Bookworm Weekly. Uh, I'm still trying to figure out the best time to get on and go live, since I want this to be interactive. I have some things going on later this afternoon, and that's why I've decided to get on now. So hopefully, if you're not on now, you jump on later. As before, this is a very welcoming space. We are going to be respectful in the discussion and the comments, please. Please also try to keep it clean, as I do hope that younger viewers who are trying to expand their literary minds, I want them to feel welcome. So last time, we started off, and I kind of gave a little intro about myself and explained to you that I'm from Central Nebraska and all of those kind of things. So again, open to questions about me if you want. I look like this because this is how I normally look. I don't typically do a lot of makeup or anything like that. And to kind of be a little more forthcoming, I'm having a little bit of a flare up with some chronic illness things. So I'm just kind of getting through the day, which is as best as I can hope for on some days. Anyway, the book that we're reviewing is Miranda Hart. I haven't been entirely honest with you. I explained before that I have read this previously, and I reread it, skim read it, so that I had something to share with you, and something to open discussion up for. And I have been following Miranda Hart's career, I guess. She's an actress and a comedian. I first learned of her mostly from Call the Midwife. It's a show. I know it's on Netflix. I think it's on PBS too. I'm not entirely sure where all you can stream it. But she played Chummy, and I loved her character in that. She was a little awkward, and she's very tall and, silly. And I very much fell in love with her then. And as I was doing some research on her, wanting to find out more about her career, I stumbled across her comedy series that was done quite a long while ago, but titled Miranda. It was on for 3 seasons and then a few episodes to conclude it. And in this book, you'll actually find out why she kind of went on a bit of hiatus. She was suffering for decades, really, of chronic illness. And she didn't know what to do. Sorry, the cats. She'd been to doctors, and she'd gone to all these specialists, and she literally, if you've read it, if you haven't, you'll know, learn, but she literally kind of hit her rock bottom. This actually opens with her in the prologue, with her describing collapsing on her sitting room floor. And from just sheer exhaustion and not knowing how to really help herself up in a way. She goes through the whole process of of advocating for herself and showing those of us in the same battle of life, I guess, is really one of the best ways to say it. I am right about 10 to 12 years younger than Miranda. Sorry, Miranda, for outing you on your age, but you're pretty vocal about it. She was, about 50 when she wrote this, going on 51 when it was published. And, um, you know, it really resonated with me because I knew that there was the possibility of certain things genetically. I kind of had hoped that I was going to um, get bypassed with them, but I didn't. Miranda um, found out it took her 30 years, right about 30 years, to find out that she had Lyme disease. She, and it's, something that people don't really think about, and how it can affect the immune system, how it can affect your whole life. She was really starting to take off in her career, and she had all of these goals and things that she had wanted to accomplish, and she tried to push through. I mean, you can see that through her career. She had done the movie Spy, and she was in the uh, recent depiction of Emma that came out a few years ago. So she did put a lot of effort forward to try and battle this, but there were times when she couldn't get out of bed for days. And maybe, maybe that's why I'm having a flare up today, so that I can, really relate as I talk about this. And she was on an incredible journey. She just, I mean, she fought for herself. She advocated for herself, which is something that's really difficult to do. She has obviously some advantages that some of us don't, like, one, she has more money than most of us. Um, Not all, but she's comfortable, I think, from what I understand. And but she also lives in a country where healthcare is free, you know? So she had obstacles, but she also had resources more readily available. It costs us tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars here. I've actually, uh, dealt with that for a long time. I went, just like Miranda did, I was back and forth to specialists and doctors and couldn't figure out what was wrong. I was tired all the time. I thought it was hormone things because I do have a hormone disorder that is fairly common. I mean, it's polycystic ovarian syndrome. If you've heard of it, or somebody with it. I mean, it affects approximately 10 to 11% of women. So, and so I thought it was all connected to that. And, the older I got, the achier and the more tired, and I get sick really easily, come down with a flu, or think I was coming down with a flu or a virus, and that's what it was. Chalked up about for, oh my gosh, so many different times was it, oh, it's just a virus. You're just suffering from a virus, because I would have some elevated white counts, in my blood, but that's it. And she went through the same thing. I mean, yeah, she just kept thinking she was, going through those kind of things. And turns out there was actually an answer. And there's so much power in having an actual answer. When I found out that I had lupus, that I have lupus, it's not had, it's have. I just, one time I went to the doctor, and, I'm lucky enough that I've been, for the majority of my life, seeing the same primary care physician. And we just finally got lucky on a blood test, and there were enough elevated things to send me to a specialist. But then when I went to that specialist, the numbers weren't there. So, it was back to square one. Well, he helped me fight the fight, and we found the right people, and I still have good days and bad days, mostly good. Medications, being on the right medications, taking care of myself, making that sure that I'm hydrated and that I don't overdo it. And that's kind of why I'm in the position I'm in today. Is I decided to do a little heavy cleaning yesterday, sanitizing the house, and and I'm paying for it today. So, and even though I'll continue to go to work and do all the things I have to do to function as an adult, I'm probably going to feel it for a few days. Anyway, so back to Miranda's book. That's enough about me. You don't really want to hear about me. The way she constructed this, and I kind of mentioned it in the previous video, is that it's almost like reading her diary, or actually having a one-on-one conversation with her. It doesn't. It's kind of a. I don't even know if it's really a self-help genre, but it kind of gives you tools that, to actually help you self-advocate and stick up for yourself and keep pushing to find those answers. Though, she's got hilarious, false starts. She, references her show, Miranda, a lot, a lot of the quotes, because she wrote, the majority, the show on her own. I'm sure she had help. Everybody's got writers, don't they? But anyway, but there was this, the poem in here towards the beginning that I wanted to share. It says, starting again, shaking legs, unsteady, like elastic stilts, all new, each step funny and fragile, but not new. Not a tottering calf at birth, nor a wobbly toddler, or a duckling slipping on ice. New, but oh so familiar. Decades of walking, sprinting, rushing, rambling, sliding, jumping, skipping, dancing. Runs now coming up half a century, and she's out. Imprisoned, locked down, shut in, and shut up. Lost, forgotten, the strong and sturdy sticks, fading backwards, inexperienced in weakness. Unlearning the basics of before, time to walk once more. So familiar, so foreign, so fragile, so fresh, ready to dart and dash, knowing nothing can be rash. As the pins uncurl and the joints unfurl, the steps are just that, single steps, minute and mammoth. Where they will take her, she does not know. And with that thought, on with the show. Miranda wrote that, and it resonates so much. We're all going through life, even if we don't suffer from a chronic illness or a mental health disorder or something that's debilitating. We all have things. We all have our things. We all have things that we worry about, the things that cause us crippling anxiety or worry, or cause us to just not want to get out of bed some days. And so we're always, learning about ourselves, and as this goes on, she talks about the things that, these things that she picked up. And again, I know that this was a, hey, you read it, I'll read it, we'll talk about it. But because I have a feeling with this still being so new, a lot of you haven't actually read this. I don't want to give away too much. But she refers to each of the lessons that she learned for herself along the way as treasures. And they are so, they just hit the nail on the head. Every single aspect when I read it in my experience, like, treasure one, share. Something Miranda really talks about is her difficulty with being vulnerable and asking for help. And I know that I am very similar in that I've, had to be self-sufficient for most of my life. I mean, I'm 40 years old. So, I've had 20 years of trying to figure things out. And when you spend a good chunk of that time relying on nobody else, when it comes to struggling, I'm very lucky now. I have an amazing husband and partner who is very supportive. And I guarantee you that even though this is not his thing, he will watch this because that's what he does. And it's nice to have that. It took me a long time to get to this, and it's amazing how easy it is for me now to share my vulnerabilities with him. But that's what our whole relationship is based off of, from day one, but so share, and then treasures picked up, belonging, sharing, listening, connecting, gathering. Patterns smashed. So the killing the old habits. Isolation, being a burden, or believing you are a burden. Because are you really a burden, or is that just something that we, think we are? Has someone actually told you you're a burden, or is it just your perception? Because I know I struggle with that too. Invulnerability, not asking for help. The key word or the watchword in this is connection. So learning to connect with people, especially your people. There's people in your life already that you love and are supportive with. And it's just as important to allow those people to be there for you like that too. If there's not that give and take in the relationship, then it's probably not the right kind of relationship. I'm not a counselor, but that's just my point of view. And because she created a lovely soundtrack, music is in so many aspects of things that Miranda does. And so for this first one, it's the Shoop Shoop song. It's in His Kiss by Cher. And I shared it in a post yesterday, the playlist that I created on Spotify that actually goes along with this book. I actually, when I was rereading it, spotted another song that I forgot to add to the playlist. But, there's so many things, treasure 4. Yes, I'm jumping ahead because we don't want this to take all day. Okay. And I really hope if you haven't read it, you'll read it. But thoughts was treasure 4. Treasures picked up self-awareness and acceptance, something we can all work on and be better at. I know that I am very bad at accepting myself. I tend to be pretty self-deprecating and negative. So I do it in a sarcastic and joking manner most of the time, but it gets pretty annoying for those around me. Connecting to your lovely body, laughter, how to rewire thoughts. And when I think about this, the rewiring thoughts, it makes me think of something that my counselor has been actually trying to get me to do. I'm a what if person. I am a doom thought, go down the rabbit hole but very negative. Like I will think of every possible thing that could go wrong and I will obsess about it. So I was instructed to try in my what if up. I didn't know what that meant. So what if up? Well, instead of what if and then having a negative or down thought to go with the what if up? Okay. That's, and it's harder than you think. It's easier said than done. The pattern smashed, fear of stillness, separating mind and body, self-judgment and criticism, negative self-talk. The watchword, self-control. And then the soundtrack song for this one was Stop in the Name of Love by Diana Ross and the Supremes. So anyway, and it's not just the lessons, the treasures, the self-acceptance, the correcting old patterns and behaviors, which all of that is in here. But there's actually something that Miranda shares that is pretty exciting. She had an idea for her life. She was a bachelorette for years and years, and even in her show, she wrote about the one and finding love, and she was, of course, in her mid 30s when she did that, and she lets us in on a little something in this. So there's so many surprises, and it's absolutely just remarkable. I mean, the way she describes things, the places that she visits, her imagery, as far as her in the beginning when she's laying on her floor and trying to find the strength to get up. And she's envisioning, how to get around these obstacles in her life. And the imagery that she uses is actually pretty astounding. And it's something that's really relatable. It's one of those things that if you do any kind of mental health practice, as far as counseling or anything like that, or meditation, it's one of the things that they, guide you through is like pick a place in nature and imagine this place and all that. So anyway, again, Miranda Hart, beautiful, beautiful woman, beautiful soul, spirit, everything about her. And read it, get it, read it. She has other books out there. I haven't read them. yet. They are on my Amazon list, but she has fun stories about her dog that she talks about in the beginning of this too, because this is a whole memoir that takes place over basically a, a decade of all of that. But then, she talks about her past life, but, her younger years as well. Okay. So our next book. I actually had something pretty exciting happen. I'm sorry, this is running a little long, but our first book was a Viola Shipman title. Yes, this is also Viola Shipman. So is the book that I'm going to do next time too. Because that's kind of what I do. I find someone, an author or a genre or something, and I kind of latch onto it. And I promised you that I was going to do a little bit of research on Viola Shipman, and I did. And the things that, it maybe not surprising, but Viola Shipman is actually a pen name. And in honor of a wonderful author, Wade Rouse, he is just, I started following on Facebook Viola Shipman's page, and there's so much about Wade and his partner, husband. I'm sorry, his husband, and but the Viola Shipman was actually his grandmother's name, and the Viola Shipman books, take place on Lake Michigan in like summer cottages and things like that, and it was the inspiration of spending summers with his grandmother that kind of bring about these stories. And I actually reached out to Wade. It was a long shot. I know it was a long shot. And I was explaining to him what I'm trying to do here. I sent him a message. I explained, yes, I am a new fan, but the page turner really resonated with me, and it made me thirst for more of his titles. And I went to my local library and I found as many as I could. I didn't check them all out at once. Don't worry. I only checked out 2. Give somebody else a shot. But they have about 8 titles, I think. There is one series in there, a 3-part series. I decided not to start with that. But the one that we are starting with or doing this time is called The Summer Cottage. I'll tell you about it in a little bit. But I wanted to actually share with you my my short conversation with Wade, because it could have very easily been like a publicist or PR person or something like that would have responded. But the fact that it's so personal, and it just really touched me. So I'm going to share with you what I said, and what his response and things like that. And it's kind of exciting. So I said, hello, Wade. I must be honest, I'm a new fan. I became acquainted with your work very recently, the page turner. I loved it so much so that it inspired me to create a virtual book club and book review YouTube channel. I said the page turner touched me so much. I'm hoping to do my live stream every week, potentially on Sundays. My next book isn't one of yours, but after that, I'm going to be sharing each of your titles that my little local library, I think 8 in all, has. I'm very new at this, but I wanted to invite you to watch and possibly join in the discussion. It's at Bookworm Weekly. The only video so far was last week. So, is video or episode 1. I'm really looking forward to reading more. The titles I've checked out this afternoon were The Summer Cottage and The Heirloom Garden. Anyway, I apologize for any bother. I just wanted you to know how much your book spoke to me. Your newest fan, Heidi Furrow. And then like I said, I wasn't really expecting anything. And the next day, like not even a full 24 hours, I got, thank you so much for the heartfelt message. And I'm touched the page turner resonated with you so deeply. Congrats on your virtual book club and review channel. Nothing connects and unites people more than books and reading. I truly hope you love all my books just as much. And I think the new titles you picked are perfect. And I will try to stop by in the future after I get through edits on my next year's book and finish my new one, which is due end of the summer. So that's exciting. Sending big hugs and love. Happy summer and reading, and good luck. So, and I was just so touched. I couldn't even come up with a response. I asked my husband, do I respond? And we just reacted with a little heart, because we don't want to seem too fangirly, right? Anyway, so that being said, I am about 3 or 4 pages into this. I tried reading last night, but I was just not focused. But this is going to be a quick read, I can tell you, because it gripped me right away. So The Summer Cottage is what we're reading to review for the next episode. It says, Addie Lou Kruger's ex never understood her affection for what her parents called their cozy cottage, the charming, ramshackle summer home on Lake Michigan, complete with its own set of rules for relaxing that she's inherited. Facing a broken marriage, an empty nest, and an unfulfilling career, Addie Lou decides to rebuild her life and convert her cottage into a bed and breakfast. While the renovation process is challenging, Addie Lou finds support in unexpected places and a new love story on the horizon. One cottage rule at a time, Addie Lou reclaims her own strength, history, and joy by rediscovering the magic in every sunset and sandcastle. So I'm pretty excited to read it. Obviously, the imagery, the description of all I got so far was, of the cottage and everything. And Lake Michigan, I have to go visit. I just have to, because it sounds beautiful and peaceful. And what's funny is picking this one is I actually have a degree in travel and tourism. And one of my dreams I had at one point in my life was that I wanted to own a bed and breakfast, or run an inn of some sort like that, a boutique. And so I don't know. I'm pretty excited to read it, and I hope that you all will join me. I really would love to have somebody to talk to about this. So go to your local library, check it out. Jump on Amazon, your Kindle, your library, if they have a virtual checkout, do whatever you got to do. Get your hands on it, read it with me, and we'll discuss it next time. Anyway, I think that's where I'm going to leave off today. I'm sorry this ran kind of long. I wanted to cover all the bases, I guess. And yeah, this is This is good. I actually feel better now than I did before we started. So I think I needed a little pick me up, and you guys helped me do that. So until next week, I will see you later. Happy reading.